T-minus 30 seconds and counting.
You know, this used to be a hell of a good country. I can't understand what's going wrong with it.
Chaos.
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 T-minus 15.
Oh, they're not scared of you. They're scared of what you represent.
10, 9, ignition sequence start.
What you represent to them is freedom.
We have ignition. All engines are running. We have liftoff. We have liftoff.
What we started to talk about earlier was, and I was mentioning to Rick and Josh on my way driving in, about all these radio personalities that have been to the Low T Center. You know, when they're doing their ads, every one of them's been to the Low T Center. Every one of them has had their foundation fixed. I mean, it just goes on and on. I mean, and
well, of course they have their foundation fixed.
Well, yes. And of course, they may live in a new house in Colleyville, and they've already had to get their foundation fixed. It's unbelievable what we're hearing. And you know, and I know some of them live in it up.
Well, when you get a foundation, well, when a foundation company comes out and fixes your house for free, and then you do a commercial for them, like, hey, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's the nature of the world that we live in. We were talking earlier also about lying.
Yes.
You know, the world's lying and getting by with it. Lying has replaced the truth, and so it keeps on going. We just learned that Denise D'Souza has been indicted for illegal contributions to a Republican's campaign. We understand that the Republicans in the state of Virginia, McDonnell, they've been indicted. Is that right, Craig? Do I have that right? The former governor, former governor and his wife, and they're Republicans. It appears to me, perhaps, that the left is now going after folks after having changed the rules. And that is to say, made those things that were legal pre-Obama to now things that are illegal post-Obama. So all the legal stuff we used to do is now illegal because they need a reason to arrest us, right? Okay, yeah,
well, yeah.
Right.
Plus, you notice that the IRS is trying to change their regulations so that nobody can do a scorecard even.
Yeah, I got you. And so, if you would, Craig, we know you've called in. Do you have a location, perhaps, that you can see if we're actually broadcasting? Can you check something for us?
I will try it.
Okay.
Craig dialed in the number. He's on here.
Yeah, I know, but that doesn't mean we're broadcasting, does it?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm listening to you on my phone, which means I know at least it's broadcast. You're coming across on my phone. And earlier I got two different things. I got music, I got dead space, and I got a deal that told me the show wasn't going to start for like 23 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, Kelly, if you're not hearing us, you don't hear me.
Yeah. Tell them to try and call in.
Yeah, call in, folks. If you think you can't hear us, of course, I don't know how you'd hear me say.
Because Craig got through, so
everybody
else get through.
Kelly's asking what link. I have no idea. What link would she call in on? Or
she needs to dial the number 714-242-5220.
There you go. Yeah.
So there you go. And that'll get you here. But you can also dial 817-606-8679. Now, back to the liars and the liars in chiefs and the open season they've got on Republicans and conservatives, dragging them into court. Of course, they all have to go get attorneys and have, that expense. So that's really what it's all about, is just dragging them into court, making a scene, and, costing these people thousands of dollars.
Causing trouble, causing chaos,
yes.
Creating havoc for these folks to a point that they can keep them busy doing something else rather than being up in their hair. It's pretty simple. I mean, the left is willing to do anything, say anything, arrest anybody that it needs to have their way with us. And so it goes.
Yes. And I know Kelly was asking about a link, and so I guess I can send that out real quick if you guys want to talk for a minute while I take care of this and send this out.
Yeah, I wanted to mention something about last night's event. I thought it was well done. We had good participation. There were people there I hadn't seen in a long time. Glad to have shown up and been a part of that. There wasn't even standing room. I always like to hear these stories about standing room only. Well, we've got one today, which there's no standing room. All the seats were taken, no standing room. So, Craig, what's your overview of last night's event? Go ahead.
I thought it was a great event. Like you said, there was no room left. Those of us who could were listening from the edge of the door.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And there were still people outside who would like to have gotten in. It was a great event. I think there was an awful lot of good information disseminated. We got the chance to see some of the candidates and hear their opinions. I thought that, frankly, that Tony Tenderholt hit a home run last night with the way he came out.
Well, good.
I think he looks strong. Give me your thoughts on that one.
Well, I would have to say that there was only a few of the candidates, and I won't call any names, that I thought did a poor job of explaining who they were while they were there, so on and so forth. And in fact, they made me suspect, to be quite honest. But I know that most of you know me as a person that is pretty critical. I critique things. I find it necessary to critique things after 40 years of investigating people who at least tried to play on the fact that they were doing the right thing. As I might mention, that was not always the case. But there were, I think that overall I would give it a Class AA, AAA rating. The Republican Club of Arlington did a fine job. And so, yeah, I think we need to do it again. I think we need a larger place to do it, and perhaps tweak it.
Larger venue, yeah.
Yeah, a larger venue. Tweak it a little bit. I'd like to see us fill up the music hall again with a program similar. And I know we've got some things coming up. I think, February the 1st, there's a forum up in North Tarrant County. But anyway, overall, great and exciting program.
Yeah, and I think you had some really good discussions. Like you said, there were a few that I don't think proved why they were there. Mm-hmm. I thought, and admittedly, I'm biased in some of these races, as we know. But I thought that in the JP2 race, that Mary Tom Cornett and Shane Nolan accorded themselves well.
Oh yeah.
The third candidate in that race, I don't think did quite so well, but that's just my opinion. And I think that I thought one of the interesting points of the night was where one of the people got distracted by TV because the TV had food on it at one point.
Yeah.
Other than that, I thought it was a phenomenal night. Like you said, there was a great crowd, good discussion of issues, and I think the people are served well when they have an opportunity to talk to the candidates, ask the candidates questions, and get an idea of what the candidates are really about.
Yeah, the one of the things that caught my ear last night was the fact that the Republican club itself, and you'll have to help me with the name of the gentleman that always speaks first. What's his name? Nolan. Yeah.
Bill Atterbury.
Yeah. Complimented the Tea Party. And I thought, wow, that's a change that we have not seen coming from the Republican club over the last few years, and a pleasant change, a surprising but pleasant change. I never could quite understand why some of the locals would buy into the narrative that the national left wing put out, and for that matter, some of the right wing put out, some of the national Republicans put out about the Tea Parties. I just couldn't believe why a local would buy into that.
The mean radical Tea Party.
Yeah, mean radical Tea Party people.
Extreme.
And what is it that we really want, folks?
Limited government.
Limited government. How about some honest politicians?
Really.
Yeah. We've got corruption on both sides of the aisle, and what we really want is to clean it up. And if we got people up there that don't have anything to hide for a while, maybe we can get something done. Jeez.
Dang, I think our audience agrees with you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Sit down. Thank you. But having said that, we never intended for that to happen. It certainly was not our narrative. Our goal, again, is to elect righteous people to serve and do the people's bidding. And I crossed on this fact this week in a local politician's office. And I'd like to kind of give you a real quick thumbnail of what took place there. I felt like the person I was talking to was quite on the defense, as you might well imagine. And I think that's where most of our incumbents are. They're on the defense. And I basically said, I'm getting really tired of seeing these elected bring up things that need to be addressed, but yet they never fix them. They only bring them up. They only identify them. They only showcase them. They only march them across the stage. And at the end of the day, or for that matter, at the end of the year, or even worse, at the end of the term, those problems still exist. And they're problems that don't require an across-the-board vote. They're issues. They're problems that the person who is hired to do the job has not done it. And nobody gets fired.
Nobody.
I don't even suppose they get reprimanded because the problem still exists.
The worst thing to happen to them would be that they have to retire.
Yeah, absolutely. And we keep on paying them for screwing us over the years. We keep paying them, so the damage never stops.
Right.
Craig, can you kind of tell us what is a retirement package for our Texas congressmen and women?
Now, it's not what you think it is.
No,
and Craig can address this better than I can.
They get 2% per year of service at their highest rate of pay. Pretty simple. 2% is accrued per year times the highest pay that they accrued during their terms, during their employment, whatever you want to say.
And that could be 174,000, 184,000 if you have
so
committees
take 140,
and all this other stuff.
Take 180,000.
Is that right, Craig?
And do the years on it. Let's say they serve 30 years. Go ahead. A congressman or a senator.
Yeah, and you're talking about our U.S. congressmen and those officials in those kind of levels. Yeah, and most people don't understand that they do have to vest. They do have to come in. They do. They don't get that one term and you get a lifetime deal. It's not fair. That, you know, every time I see that thing pass around the internet, it just blows my mind that people believe it.
Well, actually, that email kind of slowed up. We don't see it as often anymore.
But it is truly. You get credit for 2% per year. So if you worked 30 years as a U.S. congressman, you'd end up with 60% of your pay at the highest level, whatever it might have been. Now then, the only problems I see with that is, I'm sorry, say it again.
I was just going to say, and in the past, Rick, they've also been able to use their military service as an add to, or other government services an add to on that if it was in the federal level.
Yeah, because that's federal employment. And so they get 2% per year of federal employment. Whatever it is, they could have been in the military, they could have been in civil service, and then they got elected to something. So all of those years that they had already accrued in those years where they were not an elected official, yes, can be added to the total amount. Because it's one system, it's the federal retirement system. And so I'm just trying to explain, we're not upset about that. It sounds like a pretty fair system to me. I don't have a problem with it. What I have a problem with is other things that they get to tap into. And one of them was the insider trading thing. I don't see where it's fair to allow an elected official to tap into insider trading when it's illegal for anyone else to do it. I don't see that as some kind of fairness doctrine of some sort that they've adopted. But nevertheless, that's not the problem. The problem is when they go up there and their total concern is about getting reelected. And they don't take care of business. Do the people's bidding. And I yield the floor.
Okay, this is Scatter Shooting Friday. Well, come on.
It was.
Dang, that stuff seems to be loud today. Wow. Anyway, hey, Craig, let's talk Wendy Davis for a minute. Now, this is beginning to get sick as it gets when her campaign people start making fun of Greg Abbott's, Texas Attorney General Greg Abbott's disabilities. He's in a wheelchair. And, you know, if this was a Republican doing this, there would be all kinds, 10 times of hell raised.
Oh, the Republican would have been crucified. Any Tea Party member, any conservative would have been crucified. You would have been hauled out, put on a rope, and dragged behind a truck.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
but you know, Wendy can lie. Her people can come out and say negative things about Greg Abbott being in a wheelchair. It's okay.
You know, we could probably dig that audio up. I know it's on YouTube, and so you know, I mean, it's really telling. Of course, it was O'Keefe that went and interviewed these people, went into their offices, and you know, they're just chatting and laughing and carrying on. Matter of fact, is we found that video. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it, Craig, but I know it'll go out through our video portion of the show when it goes out this afternoon. When we grab this clip that we're going to play, you may be able to hear it, may not. I'll tell you when it starts and when it ends. And you can let me know if you hear it at all. But it's quite interesting to see the way that these people work. And, of course, we saw it with ACORN and all these other groups. They'll do and say anything, and I mean anything, to have their way. and there is no honesty. There is no integrity. It's unbelievable, and I'm probably, you can think of some more words to throw into that. Go ahead, guys.
Well, when you say unbelievable, Wendy Davis, it's funny that her entire campaign has tried to spend the entire week attacking Greg Abbott for an article that Greg Abbott had nothing to do with. It was written by a newspaper reporter who says, I never talked to the Abbott campaign. I never talked to Abbott.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they think that way, Craig. Well, they think that way because they're guilty of doing it. And so they expect other people like Greg Abbott or whomever to do it as well. And that is to say, sabotage their campaigns. Because that's what the left does. And they do it well.
Yeah.
So they expect everybody else to do it because they are.
And they have no problem lying.
No. And by the way, we've got a caller.
Yeah, and they have no problem lying.
Yeah, hold on just a minute, Craig. Is that Robert?
Go ahead.
This is Robert.
Yeah, Robert, I thought I saw your number up there.
Hello?
Okay, we got you. Do you have us?
Robert.
I have you.
Okay, good. We have voices. We have connections. Go ahead, Robert.
Oh, you know what? Excuse me. I'm going to have to call you right back. I'm at work.
That's fine.
No problem.
That's fine. Call us back. Are we ready to go with that clip?
Okay.
Here we go. We're going to play this clip.
I'm really wondering how this is going to work out since he's in a wheelchair, and most of the slogans are "Stand with Wendy." Yeah. That's in our subconscious now, so it's interesting to me from a psychological point of view how it's going to play out.
And here you all are 11 months before the campaign election day to work on our behalf. And you are the secret weapon. And you are the secret weapon.
I heard from someone that she's too stupid to be governor.
Yeah. Battleground had to tell her that, we're going to support you, and we had to convince her.
What I think is amazing is he's in a wheelchair, but he has no sympathy for anyone or anyone.
He may have a personality disorder.
First of all, not good looking. He doesn't speak very well. He doesn't have a good personality, and he's in a wheelchair.
We're at Battleground, Texas today. Have y'all heard of us? Yes.
Getting new people registered, making sure that people know exactly how to vote.
Are you registered to vote?
For Wendy?
No, just in general.
You got a Wendy Davis sticker right behind it.
I do.
I'm not registering to vote for her.
My husband is not politically active. We had received absentee forms, and I just found his name on one. I mean, is that okay?
I don't think that's legal, but I'll do like Lisa did. I didn't hear you say that.
You do it all the time.
I don't know if you could have heard. You heard that? Craig.
Well,
yeah. Craig, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay,
I'm
there
here.
you go. We got you back. Anyway, I don't know if you heard that or not, but let me tell you. That was that turn.
Let me tell you, I went on the internet site.
Yeah, that was that Turn Texas Blue crowd. And let me tell you, they're despicable, a bunch of punks, a bunch of thugs, creeps. I mean, I can't think of the name. I know the names I would like to say, but I'm not going to do it on the air.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that's just that was pretty sick. Pretty sick. And they do her campaign advertising, Stand with Wendy.
Mm-hmm.
Stand with Wendy.
And they were mocking and making fun of it.
Yes.
Yeah. It's pretty pitiful when we have to stoop to that degree of lowliness just to get elected to something. But you know, guys, that's where we are. That's America today. A sense of fairness went out the window a long time ago.
Fairness is gone.
Yeah, I mean that's so remote from this world. It's incredible.
Honesty is gone. She's, I mean, she sit there. She stretched the truth about her situation with her college tuition, living in a trailer park. Blah 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 blah. Like she had to really struggle, in which she did not.
No. The biggest thing to me out of all that, guys, is the fact that she was willing to go off to Boston while her children stayed here.
Yes.
That's. I don't know any women that I've ever respected that felt that way about their children. I mean, that's the first thing that I'll look for. How do you treat your children? A mother who treats her children in that manner, you want to be your governor? What's wrong with you? I mean, that's a big question. That's a big issue.
Her children, even when she was able to support the children, and came back and was back from law school and everything, and had left her husband. The kids did. Even her older daughter, who was not his, but he was the stepfather for, did not want to go and live with her.
Yeah, that's true. So what does that say about the female gender in our society? Now, I'm talking our society, the American society, as it was, not as it is. But there you have it. It's right in your face. And I think that's the most important thing about the disclosures that were made by the Dallas Morning News and other outlets. She doesn't care.
Texans are a lot of things, but I still don't think they like being lied to.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they like mothers who treat their children the way they do, and thus, speak for abortion.
Mm-hmm.
And, approve it through their own articulation.
Exactly.
And then try to come back later, Mel, and say, "Oh no, I didn't. I love my children. I love the newborns, and all of this other stuff." Who are you trying to convince, Wendy?
Even though she's trying to kill them, she's she loves them.
And then when you look into the fact that the filibuster that she put on down at the Senate, was manipulated by none other than Joe Straus.
Mm-hmm.
To a point that they didn't get the bill out and across to the Senate in time, only basically eliminating any length of time she'd have to stand on her feet to get the job done. So they manipulated. That was all orchestrated. That was a script.
Yes, it was.
It wasn't live. It wasn't real. It wasn't right now. It was not Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Wendy. You didn't look anything like Jimmy Stewart in that movie, nor did you have the same moral courage that he had during that filibuster that was depicted in that 1937 year movie.
Not to mention the morons that
or even in real life.
Say it again, Craig.
Oh, yeah. I said, and she didn't have his moral fiber that he exhibited in real life.
Exactly.
As a military man and as a solid Christian.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I, the left is willing to depict something that isn't true for their own furtherance into whatever it is they're pushing toward. I find it repulsive, extremely repulsive, that we don't have enough politicians that really believe in honesty and integrity. I mean, do you not know what you're going to get? You're going to get some of the same over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
Every time they govern. Oh, boy.
Yeah. Hey, as you guys know, the president, he's declared the Afghanistan and the Iraqi wars is over. He's already given notice that he's going to pull the troops out of Afghanistan in 2014. Now they're trying to. I know some of the top military men are saying, "Hey, we need to leave at least 10,000." And
for what?
I mean, well, really, for what? The president. We find it out. He never believed in the mission. We've had 14,000 soldiers wounded under his watch, and I don't know how many thousands killed under his watch. Since he took over in 2008 with the missions that he doesn't believe in.
Well, I think what's happened here is his handlers have determined that folks are figuring out what he's been doing. I think he realizes he's got to cut and run to basically do damage control for the 2014 election. I think that's what all this is about. Have we not already heard this in Revelations about what Hillary did as Benghazi unfolded?
Oh, yeah.
Political in nature. Her decisions were all political in nature.
And can you believe the polls that shows her out in front of everybody?
Oh, well, yeah.
How you keep? I mean, come on.
I think that's how many willy-nilly thinking people we got in this country.
I think that's how manipulated the polls are.
Well, that too.
But, I mean, those ads hadn't even started running yet.
Not to mention the votes when they're counted being manipulated.
Well, that's right. Now they want to have the votes. Hey, it shouldn't take an American 30 minutes to vote. That means they'll get it done in 30 minutes. They'll go count it even faster.
Sure.
And then guess what? Too late to undo it.
They're planning it right now.
And electronic voting machines are a disaster.
No, I'm telling you. We've already proven how they can be hacked.
I'd rather have the hanging chads.
Yeah, me too.
Than to have somebody sit in a room with a stolen voting machine and sitting there and voting over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Of course, Mel, even in the case of the hanging chads, what the Democrats did is they had a phone bank operating here in Arlington, Texas. There's a phone operation over here that they called up, and they had them calling people in Florida and saying, go back and say that your vote was not cast properly.
Okay.
That you're sure that it was cast incorrectly.
We just had our producer, Josh, tell us that there were 1,500 soldiers killed under Obama's watch, 14,000 wounded and maimed.
And 500 under Bush's, is that what it said? Yeah.
Yeah.
So go figure, folks. The rules of engagement in the military have changed today. Since Mel and I were in Vietnam, they've changed incredibly over those years.
When your politicians start meddling in these wars, and they start restricting and not giving the soldiers, the officers, everybody else, the tools to win, is despicable. And let me tell you, we've gotten real good at making wars last for years on end.
Yeah, despicable is not even strong enough.
Yeah.
But it certainly gets close.
Well, I know you and I, we can throw them out there if we want to. What I'm talking about, the words that describe what we think about it.
So, where do we go from here, guys? Where do we go from here?
We just, hey, Craig, you're still talking to us, right?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, well, Kelly's lost in space.
Yeah. So. Yeah, Kelly's over here sending us notes.
Well.
Yeah.
Kelly's lost in space. She's not able to hear us. Okay, so here we go. Oh, God.
I got you on the internet. I got you on the internet as well. But I want to tell you, a while ago when you were playing that tape,
yeah, it wasn't playing.
I was getting nothing but you guys moving around the desk.
Yeah, that's what happens. But we've got to figure that out too. And it'll change as we move away. I think we're going to move away from Blog Talk Radio because we just seem to be just having too many problems with it.
Just not the
so
platform's just got too many problems.
Yeah, that's where we're at with it.
And they want to say that it's somebody else's problem.
That's right.
When
that's right.
then bunches of people are telling them they're having problems with.
There was an
system.
Article written about Obama by
kidding.
General Vallely.
Yeah.
Our favorite general. There was an article written, and he called Obama's statement about Al-Qaeda being the JV team as idiotic. Mm-hmm. He said, why don't you just push them into doing something? Push them into coming after us. After all, he's let them reconstitute themselves. So, Al-Qaeda is not on the run.
I think they're coming after us.
I mean, right now they're after Russia big time. Go ahead, Craig.
I was going to say they're taking over several Middle Eastern countries with our help.
Yeah, exactly. And of course they've taken back over Fallujah, and they will do the same thing with Afghanistan when we pull out.
Is there any doubt?
We're going to be right back to square one, and it's already happening when they're saying that, hey, look, let's handle Al-Qaeda with police action.
Oh, God.
That's what we were doing before 9/11, 2001.
You can't make this up.
When they killed 3,000 people, that's where we were at then. We're backing up. So, so that's where we're at. This is where this president is taking us. And you know what? There's a bunch of people riding along.
Well, evidently there's nobody willing to say anything about it. And I take their silence as being part of it. I mean, have you ever seen such a silent Congress or Senate? And I'm telling you, we're hoodwinked every time an election cycle comes up. We're hoodwinked because they drop the ball and do not do the work they need to be doing to stay on top of what's going on, and they go home to their districts and campaign. That's where they are right now, folks.
Yeah. And of course,
is it not incredible?
And I hate to bust anybody's bubble, but I'm going to. When they all get up there and talk to us, they're all conservative. They're family men. This, that. Here we go. I mean, it's getting really hard to judge.
And it's not just at the federal level; it's at all levels.
Yeah.
I mean, like for instance, last night Diane Patrick got up and talked about what a solid conservative she was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, go look at the percentage of votes that are conservative votes that she does, folks. I mean, Diane's a nice person. I enjoy talking to her, but she just doesn't get it. She doesn't have the background to be conservative. She doesn't understand the principles of the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, the Federalist Papers. She doesn't get it. Evidently, she's never studied it. And let me tell you something. She evidently doesn't believe it at all. And that means wherever she came from, wherever she was raised, they didn't raise her based on those principles. And I'm not trying to be mean-spirited, but is it not so? We all become who we are based on where we came from. We become a sponge of information as we move through life once we have been born into this world. And so that first initial contact with a life system, our family, our parents, maybe some brothers and sisters, depending on when you were born in your family, that begin to teach you what's going on, how you should view the world, if you will. And at 33 or 34 or 37%, how is it that Diane thinks she's a conservative? Go ahead, Craig.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then I was going to say, Rick, and then on the local level, more even, going one more step down, the Mansfield City Council on Monday is discussing bike lanes.
Oh, I know it.
Taking 4-lane streets and making them 2-lane streets.
This is a cancer in America. A cancer in America, folks. ICLEI, Agenda 21. We fought it in Arlington. They're still doing it. Now it's in Mansfield. It's just like a cancer. It just keeps growing because the left will not stop. They won't go home and watch Dances with the Stars. They keep fighting and scratching and clawing and kicking until they get what they want. Now Mansfield wants to go with Agenda 21.
There you go.
And we're asking everybody.
So if you live in that area, go to their council meeting Monday night and tell them no.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, they just they know everybody don't want it, and they just keep pushing, and keep pushing.
Because they know the politicians will go along with it. Listen, the left doesn't listen to the people. The very idea of communism, Marxism, Leninism, all of those isms is not about the people. It's about the ruling class. Who's in charge makes all the rules. And in no place in this world except America do you have a free constitutional society. But yet, all of these elected officials that we now see in Washington and in local governments across this nation are trying to defeat it by imposing their will upon you, regardless of what you want. Even after you confront them, they go ahead and do it anyway. Because every time they get elected, that's just another license to do whatever they want to do. And to hell with the people.
Oh, yeah. Hey, we've got another caller here. The number would be 9381. Good morning.
It's Robert. I'm back.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Pretty good. I was just listening to the show, enjoying the show. I'm just going to give you guys a report on some pretty big happenings in the world markets today.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I mean, it's being reported everywhere now. It's all over the place. Emerging markets, currency contagion. Remember I was telling you how in past conversations that Bernanke, with all this money printing, was disrupting the world markets.
Yeah.
And it's really doing a lot of damage to, really everyone. Yeah. Because everyone has dollars for their goods that they sell us. We buy more stuff than anybody else in the world. So whether you're some little tiny country that we haven't heard of or a fairly large country like Brazil, you sell stuff to America, you got all these dollars. When their currency goes bad like it is today, and like it has been, just give you an idea, Brazil's currency has lost 28% of its value in the last 2 years.
Wow.
The Turkish lira is at a record low. In Venezuela, what they did is they devalued your currency to buy airline tickets, which translated means they raised the price of airline tickets so you couldn't leave. Mm-hmm. Yeah. In Argentina, the currency has been near failing. It's nearly failed again. Yesterday, it dropped 12% in value in 1 day. And that's the stated value. It's like 7.8 Argentina pesos to the dollar, but the black market is 13. So it hasn't even reflected the real market. The real market, it's lost another half of its value. So Argentina is completely broke, completely bankrupt.
Wow.
Robert.
Venezuela's there. Yes.
Tell us, or tell our listeners, what that means. How does that look at the end of the day for us, the U.S.? At
the end of the day for the United States, we don't have trading partners that can buy anything. We sell computers, we sell chips, we sell things that are have more intellectual brains behind it. Airlines, airliners, anything like that. Equipment, Caterpillar tractor. If they can't purchase stuff because they're broke, then we don't have trading partners.
Exactly.
We have to sell stuff too, stuff that we're good at making.
Mm-hmm. So what happens to our jobs?
And that's why when people try to pick on a country, like right now, the favorite whipping boy is China. Well, China's bad because they make all this stuff really cheap. Well, China can make certain things cheap, but other things it can't make, it needs to buy. So there's still a trading partner. You still sell them things. Japan is 20% of Japan's trade is dependent on China. Does the rest of the world need Japan to be a non-Argentina and not go broke? Yes. If Japan goes broke, then you're talking about another, major currency nuclear bomb. You're talking about just wrecking all sorts of countries. So what I'm saying is all the countries need each other. The larger the countries are, the more everyone else needs them, regardless of what their language, name, or political affiliation. We need all of them. I mean, for instance, Europe needs Russia. They ship them gas. They sell them tremendous amounts of natural gas.
Yes.
So we can turn our nose up at Russia politically, and we can dislike them and really despise them for what they stand for and what kind of people they are and what kind of leadership they have. But people depend on Russian gas. So I'm just saying, when it comes to economics, there aren't any languages. There isn't any political thing. Economics is economics. People need things. Look at, Japan has shut down all since they had the tsunami that severely wrecked that nuclear power plant. They have methodically closed all of their nuclear power, all of it, 100%. I can't tell you the percentage that it represented, but it was a very large percentage of their power. And so they're now dependent on importing natural gas on ships. So that's going to come from everywhere. It's going to come from Indonesia. It's going to come from Australia. It's going to come from the United States. Everywhere is going to be shipping them gas in order for them to have power. So I'm just saying, I'm giving you examples of trade. Trade is good. Trade is of a necessity. World trade has always been, going back to Marco Polo and the spices going to England, has always been there. It's very important. And so what I'm saying is Bernanke and the printing is inflating or wiping out the currencies of these countries. Very, very big damage. And now little Janet Yellen, little 5'0" Janet Yellen is the shortest Federal Reserve chairman and the first woman, and I predict she will preside over the end of the Federal Reserve Bank in America. Mm-hmm. She will preside over its demise. There's no turning back now. They're going to print and print and print until there's a loss of confidence in the dollar.
Right.
But Robert,
another way to say it.
Who's the winner? Define and
there's no winner in this.
Okay. There you have it, folks.
Everybody suffers.
There is no winner, other than temporarily. I can put it this way: temporarily, the only winner is the banks are being propped from showing really that they don't have any clothes.
Right.
That they really are defunct. So currently they're the winner, but eventually that's going to be exposed, just like everything else in this world. It eventually gets exposed.
Well, is someone orchestrating this, and what are their intentions? Is this accidental? Did it just accidentally happen? Did somebody make a mistake? Or is it all planned?
Well, I'll answer it this way. I think that the political pressure on a central banker to mask over the reality is a political decision. And I think the central banks in Europe, the central banks in Japan, the central banks in the United States and in China are all printing money simultaneously. Most of the experts that I read and listen to that I respect are saying that the difference this time in world history, in modern history, that this is the first time that all of the major central banks in the world are printing at the same time. This used to be a thing where it would happen in one place or the other. But it's all at the same time, and I think that's a political cover, Rick, to answer your question directly, that if they print, that it makes the current politicians look like they're doing something good. It makes it look like the problems aren't as large as they are, but eventually they come home to roost, but that's usually when somebody else is in office. Like, if you remember, it's really almost uncanny. You remember when Paul Volcker left the Federal Reserve, his term had termed out, and he didn't go for another term or whatever, for whatever reason, political decision or whatever, and Greenspan was put in. Mm-hmm. It wasn't long after Greenspan came in that we had the 1987 market crash. He was baptized as a new Federal Reserve leader, head of the chairman of the Federal Reserve Bank, the biggest bank in the world, and we had a crisis. If you remember, not long after Bernanke came in and replaced Greenspan, which lasted all the way into, my memory fails me here, but it's around 2006, I believe, is when Bernanke comes in. It might have been at the beginning of 07, but it doesn't really matter. He comes in and replaces Greenspan after that long stint that Greenspan had in there. He was in there for many, many terms. Everybody loved him. He was like, he kind of made the economy recession-proof. And then Bernanke comes in, and he wasn't there very long before, and they didn't increase interest rates very long before the whole thing collapsed in 2008. Mm-hmm. And that was much, much more severe than 1987. Mm-hmm. And so what I'm saying is we're here at another point in time, guys, where next week, Wednesday, Thursday, the Fed meets for their January meeting. That's the bye-bye meeting for Bernanke, and it's the first time that she gets the gavel, Miss Janet Yellen, to take over the Fed, and look what's facing her. She's looking down the barrel of world chaos.
Does she know it?
In the financial world.
Does she know it?
Oh, she knows it.
She knows it.
She knows it. She knows it.
Who selected her?
They know it. The thing is, they split Barack Obama.
So they're going to ride that horse till it's dead.
Mm-hmm. Robert.
That's why I say they don't have any. She had. Yes.
Robert, is anyone who is affiliated with the largest bank in the world going to lose any money?
No.
Oh, are they going to make any money?
No.
Okay. And so what is this all for?
Well, one of the things that people don't talk about very much in the news that I want to say to answer that is what it's for is to protect the banks. The only purpose of the Federal Reserve was to protect the banks. That's what it was created for. That's what it's doing right now. It's trying to protect the banks from exposing bad loans. It's really what it is. And they're willing to destroy our currency as a consequence of preserving those bad loans. The debt cannot be repaid.
What's this going to mean?
The difference this time that I get from people like, pardon me?
Robert, what's this going to mean for the average person out there?
It's going to mean that eventually, when this is really exposed and it really comes forward, like I said at your group, Live It in Color, months and months and months ago, it means that the value of the currency in your pocket is going to be greatly reduced, just like you're seeing with these little countries.
Right.
Janet Yellen will get there in front of everybody and say, well, they're not devaluing the currency. Bernanke was on 60 Minutes, said he wasn't printing money because literally they weren't printing it with a press. They were printing it electronically and making electronic deposits.
Right.
So he's just a big liar like everybody else in the news. Gets a lot of press. But she's going to do the same thing. The other thing is people need to realize, they always talk about their toolbox. You know, when you picture a toolbox, you think of different tools. But they don't have different tools. The only tool they have is printing money. That's it. And they pretend, you know, she comes from, just to answer a little biography on Janet Yellen, she's another professor. Bernanke was a professor at Princeton. Janet Yellen is a professor from Cal Berkeley. Cal Berkeley. So it's not like it isn't like she's a moderate.
No.
She's a believer in central planning. We can control everything. They're arrogant as you can possibly be. I mean, arrogance doesn't even describe these people. They're sleeping well. You know, Bernanke's going to go off into his retirement somewhere, and he's going to sleep well. And she's going to do the same thing. I don't think they really care what happens. They just say, well, we'll just do this and we'll just do that. It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. They're going to protect the bankers, like Rick's alluding to, as much as humanly possible. And, you know, they'll give them money to stay alive. And that's what they're doing now, really. To put it, you know, when you say who does it help and who does it hurt, Rick, here's another way of answering that. Every year, according to the data, this is direct data, the Federal Reserve is providing $400 billion of benefit to our banking system, which is coming out of would-be interest to savers. Savers should be getting about $400 billion a year, and they're getting zero.
90 seconds.
You know, to your bank, what do they pay? They pay next to zero. Yeah.
Don't worry about that.
And by doing that, by the Federal Reserve keeping those rates at zero, it allows the banks to make an extra $400 billion a year. He's trying to make up for all the losses that they have on their books with that $400 billion a year.
And that makes
it still hasn't.
That makes all those shareholders happy, doesn't it?
60 seconds.
Who really benefits long term from the Federal Reserve is a handful of very wealthy families on a worldwide basis.
Can't disagree with that.
There you go.
And all of them meet every now and then. They call it the Bilderberg Group. And
so in the end, the rich and the well-connected are going to be taken care of.
Yeah. We're just out on a limb, and they're sawing on it.
Wow.
Yeah, they got this done with the help of the President of the United States when Woodrow Wilson was in office, and something that should never have happened. The Federal Reserve should never have existed.
Well, I mean,
10 seconds.
We all know that it was designed, and was the facts of such design were manipulated, and the people were lied to about it. So what good can come from that? I mean, you know, once they have to lie about something to get it going, that there's something else going on other than what they've said. So here you are. Here's the end result of all of that. From the creature on Jekyll Island till today, 11:31 on 1/24/14.
Hey, Robert, let me ask you this: there's nothing you can do to stop this train wreck, is there? This is coming.
Oh, it's coming. This is going to be bigger than 2008. It's going to be bigger than, it's going to rival the 1930s. We haven't seen the end of our 1930s yet.
Wow.
And believe me, I'm not speculating on that. That's not a speculation. We're in a depression right now. A lot of people think that a depression is that it's like a large recession where the economy is actually contracting. The pie of production is getting smaller. That's not true. We are, as long as the economy is under its potential production for an extended period of time, and I would say 5 years is an extended period of time.
Oh yeah.
We've been producing far less than our potential. That's a depression. We've been in a depression since 2008.
You know, and it just like Detroit.
And if you recall,
yeah, Robert, just like Detroit, where you had spending going on like crazy, and you're losing your manufacturing base at the same time. Our country's on that same path, isn't it?
We're on the same path. The state of Texas is on the same path. I've talked with the people at Empower Texans in detail. People that have really looked at what's gone on in Austin. Detroit, you name it. Harrisburg, the city of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania has filed bankruptcy. Stockton, California has filed bankruptcy. You can go on. There's any number of them. It's nothing when it's Vallejo, California, but then it became what? Riverside, California. Mm-hmm. Now it's not such a small place anymore. I was listening to a debate with Bennett Ratliff and Matt Rinaldi in the 115th district, folks, listen to these people on the state level that are running for office. They had this debate, and Bennett Ratliff said that these are just fuzzy numbers. Rinaldi was claiming that the state of Texas, with a record revenue coming in from taxes, the oil and gas industry and all that surrounds it, has produced spectacular increases in revenue to the state, and they spent it all.
Yeah.
They spent it all. A 26% increase in spending for the state is not population growth plus inflation. But Bennett Ratliff sat there and told them that Rinaldi was using fuzzy math. And calls himself a fiscally responsible person.
Yeah, Robert, this is happening nationwide, state after state, city after city. They just keep spending. No matter how much they take
Rinaldi argued in this debate.
Yeah.
Rinaldi argued in this debate that if you look at the total tax of governments in Texas, of Texas state and local governments combined, that the state of Texas per person, so you can compare state to state, the amount of debt per person in the state of Texas is second only to California.
Oh, my God.
No matter
so Austin is right behind Sacramento.
Yeah, no matter how much they take in.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
No matter how much they take in, it's not enough. Go ahead, Rick.
And something else here, guys. I want y'all to pay attention, and I know you have, but I'm going to bring it up. Nobody's saying anything.
No.
What does that tell you about the folks that serve you? They either don't know or they know and they're not saying. So what is Ratliff doing? He's lying.
What is Ratliff? He's lying.
Yeah, that's right. And so why is he lying?
Ross, my son, who you know works.
Yeah, I know. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Ross, my son, who you know works for Empower Texans. We sat in Bennett Ratliff's office shortly after he got in, before he went to Austin. We sat in his office, made an appointment, and sat there and asked him across the table, where he stands on freedom of choice for schools, because we knew he was going to be on that education committee, and he is on that education committee. His brother is on the State Board of Education. His brother is a lobbyist. And he sat there and argued with the both of us that he doesn't believe in competition in the schools. He doesn't believe in school vouchers. And I said, well, with the schools failing the way they are, then what is your solution? It isn't like they've been failing for 5 minutes or 5 months or 5 years. They've been failing. 330,000 students statewide, by the state's government's definition, are in failing schools. And they increase the number of charters for charter schools by some tiny, tiny amount. It's not even worth remembering the number. And so they could go back to their district and say, we increased the number of charters. We're addressing the problem. And that's another lie, Rick. That's another lie.
That's called compounding.
Because you're not addressing the problem. You're doing something to... Yes.
Yeah, you're compounding it by doing something to assist it.
Hey, guys, I want to pause here for a second and just make sure I understand something that Robert said. That whenever you tally our combined total debt here in Texas with the city, the county, and the state debt that we have, you're saying that we are second only to California?
Yes, on a per capita basis, per person, so you can compare any state to any other state. On a per capita basis, wow. We are second only to California.
Wow.
We're going to get this audio.
And then you have people like, and then you...
Go ahead, Robert, quick.
Pardon me?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to mention another one. John Crone has been in there 23 years, 17 years in the state Senate, and 6 years in the state House. He stood in, I want everybody to hear this on the radio, he stood in front of a group of Republicans in a Capel Republican Club in a debate. He's running for re-election for state Senate, and he sat there and told them that he raised his hand, and you watched him, he raised his hand in front of all the people in the room when he was speaking. I voted for term limits. But then term limits didn't pass. So I said to him after the debate was over, I walked up to him face to face. Nobody else was really. I wasn't doing it in front of anybody, just face to face, me and him. And I said, you held your hand up and said that you voted for term limits. And you said that you had been in office for 23 years. I said, why are you running for re-election?
Really?
And he said, well, it didn't pass. It didn't pass. So he said, I'm not going to term limit. I'm not going to term limit myself. And I said, oh, so you voted for something that you knew wasn't going to pass, so you could come out here and tell us that you voted for term limits when you have no principal reason that you really believe in term limits. Yeah. He turned and walked away.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, so you don't want to have a debate.
Mm-hmm. But, he's got that wonderful commercial out
there. He was
there
getting a debate for me.
That says he fights Obama every day. Every day he's fighting.
Yeah. Well, John Corona
needs
to go.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm getting them mixed up. You're talking Corona. I'm talking Cornyn.
Same
this is John Corona.
Hey, let me.
You remember, Mel? I'm sticking with Austin. I'm focusing on Austin.
Okay, there you go. That's right.
Robert, y'all hold on a minute. We're going to have to start doing something, okay? And that is to call on you to speak, because what's happening is we're running over each other, and it's because of the delay, I'm sure. Because I'm hearing myself talk now
I'm hearing myself talk now
and that's
it's getting pretty hard to rally here. So let me do this. Craig, why don't you take a minute and wrap up your show, your thoughts with the show, should I say? Okay, go ahead.
Got it. Yeah, I'm agreeing with Robert on so much of this stuff. I was just looking at a chart a minute ago that showed how the dollar has declined continuously over 100 years. Over 100 years. And it's just basically, we've been scammed, guys. We've been scammed. I'm ready for a change of most of our elected officials. We know a few that are good that we've got in there, but we do need a change, and we need change now.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. And
Robert, any final thoughts for us before we let you go?
I was going to say that I'm actually hosting a fundraiser for Don Huffines, who is challenging John Corona for the state Senate seat, District 16. Corona raised money in his own home, fundraisers for Royce West, a Democratic senator, and Judith Zaffirini, who ranks 31 out of 31 senators on the Empower Texans fiscal responsibility list. If anybody doesn't think somebody that comes in last in the Senate for fiscal responsibility isn't a liberal, but that's the kind of people that John Corona is financing, I don't think there's any other argument that you need to make in the campaign. Huffines has said that he wants to state right off the bat that he wants to stand for no more than 3 terms, a term limit himself going in, 3 terms. He said that he wants to get rid of the margin tax. That's been a disaster for small businesses. Those are a couple of the platform items of his. Just to let you know about Obama, he co-sponsored a bill with Royce West in the Senate. I believe it was SB 1510. Craig can correct me on the number. But I believe it was SB 1510 to rename a highway, Barack Obama Highway. He fought hard. He fought hard for a bill to legitimize the navigators. And you guys were talking about Acorn earlier. To me, the navigators are the Acorn of 2014.
You bet.
The same thing. And of course, it got passed. He sits on a powerful committee, a commerce committee that has a lot to do with business in this state. he's not even close to being a Reagan Republican, is what I like to call it, or maybe better said, instead of, I hate using the word conservative because they're all ruining the word conservative, a principled representative. I'll let it go at that. Anyway, the event's going to be Monday at the Villa Real Restaurant in Irving. It's right by the Four Seasons Hotel. The Villa Real Restaurant, 5:30 on Monday. If you want to meet if people just want to come out and meet Don Huffines and see who he is.
That's cool.
Well, that's great. And if you do, contribute to the campaign, there's a good chance that his brother might give you a good interest rate on a new car loan.
Yeah, right.
So
yeah. Listen, guys, I wanted to throw something in here toward the end and see if you guys could comment on it. What we need to do is we need to go to God in prayer and ask Him for deliverance from this evil. It's consuming us.
Yeah.
Amen. This is Robert.
Yeah. Go ahead, Robert.
I agree.
Your comment.
I mean, we have to. No, I have been a person raised Catholic that was always kind of bashful about wearing my faith on my sleeve. But I'm telling you, I believe I have to say something. I just have to say that we need to get on our knees, and we need to do exactly what Rick said, and we need to pray for repentance for what we've allowed to happen, and we need the help. We have to have the help from the Almighty. We have to have it.
Craig?
Somebody posted the other day on Facebook, God bless this nation as it used to be. And I think that's what we're looking for, is the way this country used to be, not the way that people are trying to destroy it right now and making it right now. Yes, we've got to go to God.
Josh?
I couldn't agree with you more, Rick. A lot of people think that the answers to our problems are economic or political. But this country, our freedom is rooted in our religious freedom. From the time of the Separatists and the Puritans. And we draw our freedoms first and primarily from there, and then that gives us the economic and political freedom that we so enjoy. That's where we have to start. That's where we have to begin. And that's been our history here in America with the First Great Awakening, the Second Great Awakening, and that's what we're going to have this time in our generation.
Absolutely. Mel, you ended up for us.
Well, I don't know how I can expand on that any at all. I wholeheartedly agree with everybody. We've got to bring God back into our country, into our hearts, into the classrooms, everywhere. The churches have to stand up, and it's basically just do the right thing and do what the Lord would have you do. And so we'll put it at that, you guys. And we're just about out of time.
Yeah, I want to make another comment if I could, if y'all bear with me. First of all, thank all of you for calling in that have. We had a couple that called, or at least one called in earlier that did not get a chance to say anything, and we apologize for that. So anyway, thanks for being here, folks. This is Rick, and I'm out of here. We're going to go to lunch. If anybody wants to join us, they can. We appreciate it. One last thing. The power of one. It starts with you, Y-O-U. Whoever you are, it starts with you. Don't worry about me, because it starts with me. Thank you.